Hello and welcome to Candid Conversation. Smog in the National Capital Region is making headlines. Today we will look at this phenomena from the perspective of a weatherman. Our guest this week is the Director General of the Indian Meteorological Department, KG Ramesh. Welcome, Mr. Ramesh, to Candid Conversation.
Thank you.
Well, some are attributing the weather phenomena that we are seeing in the National Capital Region to crop burning, waste burning, Diwali firecrackers, fly ash, even old technology being used in brick kilns, etc. They are also saying that it is winter that is exacerbating the problem. Do you agree?
It has got multiple effects actually. Winter is the natural conditions, atmospheric conditions, during which atmosphere is stable. You will have low wind conditions and gradually migrating from summer to winter, temperatures will be going towards the cooler side. Nights will be cooler, early morning will be cooler, and more stable atmospheric conditions will be in the night and early morning in the evenings. So that is the time stable atmosphere will be very shallow. All the particulate matter like PM2.5, PM10, what they call it, they are all suspended particulate matters. So they will be trapped to the stable atmosphere. They obstruct the visibility. That's how you feel that whatever concentrations are there, so you feel that visibility gets affected by that. It is called smog because of that. If it is only related with ground fast and moisture saturation and cold winter conditions, that is called fog. Here it is because of smoke and
fog
atmospheric condition put together, it is called smog. That's why we call it. For this there are three sources are there. So winter is bound to have these concentrations of higher particulate matter and pollution concentrations, and the three sources of pollution is this time either crop residue burning in the fields of Punjab, Haryana and West Uttar Pradesh and some part of even central Uttar Pradesh also. Because of that, wind during this time comes from the Punjab side. That's how most of the concentrations, emissions, burnt out emissions are transported towards the national capital region. So that is one reason, primary source. And second source is local emissions from the transport sector and the construction related waste. So many trucks passing through the city also, all through the night, carrying goods through the city to other parts of the country. So these are all three factors.
Okay.
Normally when regular traffic is less, you expect lesser concentrations during night time.
So vehicular pollution is also one of the reasons. And you've told us that winter does act as a catalyst.
Yes.
So does that mean that post-winter the situation will be better, or will the situation improve from the 7th of November itself as the IMD has predicted?
No, if winds are becoming stronger, it transports these pollutants faster from this zone. But if the source level, Punjab, that emissions are not reducing, still you cannot expect actual substantial reduction in the concentrations. If wind can take it out, but still sources of emissions are still continuing as they are today, as long as they continue. So chances of getting reduced effects of those things will be minimal.
So that wind speed is expected to change from Monday onwards?
Slightly increasing, slightly increasing side, not at a substantial level. Only best option is rain has to come. That will scavenge these things faster, but we are not expecting any rain to come.
Did the Met Department, Mr. Ramesh, issue alerts about an impending smog this time around?
No, that we only assess the concentrations, how they are today, and how they would be tomorrow and the day after. They are given on website. It is only for information for the people. Service of giving these pollutant concentrations and their effects and all is not there in the country. Monitoring and contributing air quality index etc. are with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Central Pollution Control Board and the Delhi Pollution Control Committee are the people who have to take abatement actions for these things.
The SAFAR system was launched by the IMD months ago.
SAFAR is, if you remember, that is established only to give venue specific and event specific concentrations for the Commonwealth Games venues. It was only intended to give, because before wherever Commonwealth Games were held, Olympics were held, that kind of service was provided in those countries. in Commonwealth Games 2010, India was also asked to establish such things for those venues and the events where they are weather sensitive and temperature sensitive, moisture sensitive events.
Okay, so you are saying that SAFAR was for a limited purpose, whereas in this case for monitoring it is more CPCB and DPCC that will be playing a role.
That will be playing a role. Okay. Our things are limited. About 10 places only we have put these monitoring stations. They are continuing. Similar things we have put up in Mumbai and Pune also. Ahmedabad we are setting it up. These are all just to demonstrate the capacities of weather and air quality put together. How can we generate their concentrations, predict them in the different parts of the city.
Okay. Now from the perspective of a weatherman, is the situation that we are seeing of smog in the NCR region alarming?
Yes, definitely. In terms of the concentrations, they are alarming. They are very high in concentrations and they should not continue for longer. It will bound to have some health effects on the people.
Okay. Have we seen parallels with regard to other countries also witnessing a similar situation or maybe worse situation? Because I remember in 2010 there was a situation when most parts of Europe became a no-fly zone because of volcanic ash that had come from Iceland. So are there parallels?
No, that is much catastrophic situation. Their emission, that dust emission from the volcanic eruption from Iceland was much higher in magnitude. To disperse it, people were knowing that it will take months to get rid of those concentration to a manageable level. That's how they have to stop the air traffic and so many other things. But compared to that, this is an epochal thing. Like a couple of years before, Beijing also experienced this. California experiences in some part of the year, particularly in winter. London experiences. Several countries several cities of the Europe, also Prague also experiences these kind of conditions sometime of the other, wherever they have the stable conditions like we have in winter. So it is a common phenomena for big cities, but continuously steps have to be taken to reduce their concentrations to the extent possible.
Mr. Ramesh, freak weather conditions become so frequent in today's day and age?
Freak weather condition in the sense, in terms of air quality, it is like that. But in normal condition, this is the best part of the winter. Before the actual winter starts, this is the best part of the Delhi. During the monsoons, it is a suffocating environment and moist conditions will be there. If these kind of air quality related issues are not there, this is the best part of the year for Delhiites, particularly most of the northwest India. But this air pollution creates problem. Once this crop residue burning gets reduced, maybe end of this month, that exercise should be over. Because
steps could well be taken to curb that, especially in the light of what has been decided
steps are taken,
recently.
but people also have to cooperate. There are guidelines not to burn the crop residue on fields, which they were doing earlier. States have agreed to take some steps. Some steps have been taken, but they are not found to be enough. Perhaps now, day before yesterday, Government of India has called all the states, discussed with them, particularly Minister Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So they have again discussed with the states to take steps on this particular aspect, but people have to cooperate, society has to cooperate.
So that was about the smog situation in the National Capital Region. Let's now talk a little bit on the monsoon situation.
Sure.
The monsoon this year in India has been quite good after 2 years of consecutive drought, and experts like you attribute this to the La Nina factor. So tell us more about this La Nina factor and the El Nino factor, and how do these factors impact monsoon?
El Nino is a phenomena of warming of the oceans of the Pacific region. Eastern Pacific, Central Pacific, they occasionally either get warmed. When they get warm, it is called El Nino phenomena. When they get cooler, it is called La Nina phenomena. So globally, because atmospheric circulation is linked to global phenomena, anything abnormal happening either in ocean or in atmosphere, they are bound to affect the global circulation in some way or the other. El Nino is known to affect several countries globally in terms of principal rainy seasons are concerned. Our principal rainy season is monsoon season between June to September. Whenever the warming is taking place over the Pacific, that the way it has happened in 2015. So we are expected to have lesser rainfall scenario as compared to the neutral conditions of
So till when really will the impact of La Nina remain on India?
La Nina will remain during the monsoon season only. You will have the impact of either El Nino or La Nina. This time when we started the monsoon season, at that time weak El Nino conditions were persisting. During the course of monsoon season, we anticipated that El Nino conditions will vanish, neutral conditions will set up, and La Nina is likely to develop. Whereas during the course of the season, what has really happened was La Nina did not develop, but the warming condition got transformed into a neutral condition. So neutral condition development has helped us to get the more well distributed rainfall during the season as compared to 2015 and 2014. That's how we had a good distribution of rainfall. Although in the seasonal quantum 97% of the rainfall is received, but as far as the distribution is concerned, it was very good during the season. That has helped particularly rain-fed agriculture, where pulses, oilseeds and cereals are more important. So 55% of the country is dependent on rain-fed agriculture.
True.
So storage of reservoirs was also very good, very satisfactory at the end of the season.
Absolutely, and we'll see that in the growth figures also
Yes,
once they
yes,
come in for
yes,
this
yes,
financial
yes.
year. But Mr. Ramesh, COP22 will be beginning in Morocco
Yes.
from Monday, and the Paris Climate Change Agreement has been adopted too, not just adopted, but it has been entered into force as well.
Yes.
Is there any doubt, Mr. Ramesh, that climate change is continuously disrupting weather patterns?
Climate change is already there because of the global warming conditions. Already global warming to the tune of 1.04 degrees has taken place with respect to the 1901 conditions. So Paris Agreement, people are committed to limit the warming to the 2 degrees up to 2100.
Absolutely.
So with respect to that, half of the warming has already taken place. By the time 97 countries have ratified the Paris Agreement now, yesterday. So we have all efforts, global actions have to be converged to ensure that warming will not cross 2 degrees. That is the commitment collectively all countries have made. And I think commitment is there, action should follow.
Okay. We have talked about the Paris Agreement, we've talked about COP22, but there is another global deal which has happened, which made headlines, and that was the Kigali Amendment, or the amendment to the 1989 Montreal Protocol, under which it has been decided that by 2050 hydrofluorocarbons, or HFCs, will be eliminated. Many people are saying that this is going to be more important perhaps than the Paris Agreement, because hydrofluorocarbons cause even greater damage, 1,000 times more damage by way of global warming than carbon dioxide does. So from your perspective, or from the perspective of a weatherman, how important was this amendment to the 1989 Montreal Protocol?
It's very important as far as the incremental reduction of the warming is concerned. These earlier, if you remember, original Kyoto Protocol was chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. That's how the refrigeration technology has been changed with the new technologies provided under Montreal Protocol. The CFCs got eliminated because of that effort. Now the hydrofluorocarbons are the another global warming potential gas. So by changing the technology, those technologies, the way they were available for CFCs eradication earlier, so they are also will become available now under HFC agreement, which has taken place very recently, as you have told. That will help us in reducing the higher global warming potential associated with HFCs.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Ramesh, at this point in time, we will take a short break. You're watching Candid Conversation. Our guest this week is the Director General of Indian Meteorological Department, KJ Ramesh. We'll be back in a bit.
अब ना होगा केवाईसी का झंझट
और ना मार्जिन पेमेंट का
और टैक्स भी नहीं देना पड़ेगा और ना हमारा नाम कहीं पे आएगा
इसे कहते हैं डब्बा ट्रेडिंग
इसी को कहते हैं
डब्बा गुल, क्योंकि ताली कभी एक हाथ से नहीं बजती, इसलिए डब्बा ट्रेडिंग करना या करवाना दोनों ही कानूनन अपराध हैं। सिर्फ सेबी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पे ही ट्रेडिंग कीजिए। सेबी, हर इन्वेस्टर की ताकत।
गरम पकौड़े रह गए छोड़ा
कोई काम नहीं जो लगन से करे वो पूरा, बड़े बड़े सपने हो पूरे, कोई न रहे अधूरा, जो भी कर जी जान से
जीवन के सफर में जी जान लगा देने वालों का फोन जीवी।
अच्छे समझ गए सब? गुड, वेरी गुड। एक बार फिर करेंगे। भूकंप आते ही खुली जगह में जाओ, ना जा पाए तो पहले झुको,
सर को ढको, किसी चीज को मजबूती से पकड़ो या किसी कोने में सर ढककर खड़े हो जाओ। आप भी भूकंप से बचना सीखिए। तैयारी में है समझदारी। आपके हित में तत्पर एनडीए में।
अरे जग्गू, कल चाय पर आ रहा है ना?
नहीं यार, घनसू कुछ दिन से पीछे पड़ा हुआ है आधार बनवाने के लिए। इस उम्र में क्या जरूरत है आधार बनवाने की?
आधार से तो मैंने बैंक खाता भी लिंक कराया है, जिससे मेरी गैस सब्सिडी सीधे मेरे खाते में आ जाती है। यही नहीं, जो मेरे यहाँ शांति काम करती है ना, उसे भी आधार से विधवा पेंशन मिलने में आसानी हुई है।
आप उम्र के किसी भी पायदान पर हो, आधार आपको सरकारी एवं गैर सरकारी सुविधाओं को पाना आसान बनाता है।
मैं ये नहीं पूछूंगा कि आप शौच के लिए कहाँ गए। मैं ये भी नहीं पूछूंगा कि अगर आप खुले में शौच के लिए गए तो क्या आपने अपने बच्चे की जान को खतरे में डाला? क्या आपके गांव की बच्चियों को खुले में शौच करते हुए किसी ने बुरी नजर से देखा? आप खुद समझदार हैं, सक्षम हैं। आप ये तो जानते ही होंगे कि हमारे देश में 70,000 से ज्यादा गांवों के लोगों ने खुले में शौच की प्रथा को खत्म कर दिया। गांव के बच्चे, महिला, पुरुष सब इस लक्ष्य में जुटे। निगरानी समितियां बनी जिन्होंने खुले में शौच कर रहे लोगों को समझाया, शौचालय बनाए, उनका इस्तेमाल करना सिखाया। क्या आपका गांव भी बनेगा खुले में शौच से मुक्त? आइए स्वच्छ भारत अभियान से जुड़िए। अब नहीं तो कब?
जब कार एक्सीडेंट होता है और यदि बच्चों ने सीट बेल्ट न पहनी हो या वो बच्चों के लिए खास बनी कार सीट में सुरक्षित न हो, तो एक्सीडेंट में उन्हें सर्वाधिक चोट लगती है। कार में बच्चों की सुरक्षा के लिए 12 वर्ष तक के बच्चों को उनके लिए निर्मित विशेष सीट या सीट बेल्ट में ही सुरक्षित रखना चाहिए। ये सीट बाजार में उपलब्ध है और गाड़ी की पिछली सीट पर लगाई जाती है। सदा इनका प्रयोग करें और बच्चों को हर परिस्थिति में सुरक्षित रखें।
बच्चन जी,
बोलो बच्चा जी।
आपने वो फिल्म कुली की थी ना?
कुली? हाँ, कुली की।
तब तो आप रेलों के बारे में बहुत जानते होंगे।
हाँ, थोड़ा बहुत जानता हूँ।
तो बताइए, कौन सा ट्रैक किसका है?
इस वाली पे चंद्रपुर वाली आती है और उस वाली पे बहादुरगढ़ वाली आती है।
गलत जवाब।
हाँ?
वहाँ पर हरिया जी बाल्टी लेकर आते हैं और वहाँ पर मुसद्दी जी लोटा लेकर। अरे उसको आगे।
अरे सुनिए 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 सुनिए, बाल्टी नीचे रखिए। आपको क्या लगता है बाहर शौच जाने से गंदगी बाहर निकल जाएगी? उल्टा बीमारियां अंदर आती हैं। और अब तो स्वच्छ भारत अभियान के अंतर्गत भारत सरकार भी शौचालय बनाने में मदद कर रही है। तो आप भी शौचालय बनाइए, खुद जाइए, अपने परिवार को भी ले जाइए। अरे इस बच्चन की नहीं सुन रहे तो कम से कम इस बच्चन की तो सुनिए।
Welcome back. You're watching Candid Conversation. Our guest this week is the Director General of the Indian Meteorological Department, KJ Ramesh. Dr. Ramesh, India is hosting the first Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction since the adoption of the Sendai Framework in 2015. What role has IMD played in ensuring that the risk of natural disasters is reduced? Have you been leveraging technology to the fullest for that purpose? Because that would mean greater preparedness on the ground.
Now with the climate impacts, if you talk about, extremes of the climate are going to increase in future. Extremes of the climate was severe weather conditions like heavy thunderstorms and heavy rainfall events and cyclones, droughts, floods, flash floods, etc. will increase in future. That's what is the IPCC has projected in its 5th assessment report. And by virtue of that, already heavy rainfall, frequency of heavy rainfall events have increased globally, including India. So we have to have collective action now for climate reduction, climate risk reduction, and as well as the disaster risk reduction. So that's why it is called climate DRR and climate put together. DRR includes climate risk reduction and as well as disaster risk reduction. Disaster also associated with cyclones and floods, etc. Hydrometeorological events. That's how C&I framework and the sustainable development goals and even the adaptation actions for the climate under UNFCCC also expects the collective actions to be taken to minimize the impacts. So Asian meeting on Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction focuses on collective actions to be done with the regional technical capacities. In Asia, if you particularly talk about it, India is already helping the nations around Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea in terms of cyclone warning and the tsunami warning, etc. These two are the major hazards. India is leading its technical capacities and serving the warnings, issuing those countries specifically to take related actions to minimize the loss of life, particularly focusing on loss of life.
So you have told us about how India is helping neighboring countries and other countries in reducing loss of lives and livelihoods and economic and physical asset losses as a result of natural disasters. But what role did the IMD play in reducing the death toll after a cyclone filing to just 30 odd? Because I remember that in 1999 when a super cyclone had hit Odisha, then the death toll around that time was around 10,000. So how did the death toll go down from 10,000 to just 30 from 1999 to 2013?
It is because of two-level actions, both on account of improved monitoring systems, improved early warning systems, technology induction into India Meteorological Department under the modernization program started from 2008. So that has helped us in improving our monitoring systems like Doppler weather radars and automatic weather stations and upper air observations, and then new set of forecast models were implemented and high performance computers were installed in IMD to run the advanced models of different kinds, and then that has helped us in early warning and predictions, improving the skill of predictions. By virtue of giving that accurate forecast and improved information to states, in affecting states, particularly if you talk about failing Orissa, states have also improved in preparing themselves in terms of emergency response based on the warnings given by IMD. So earlier that was not the case. Before the super cyclone, at the time of super cyclone, although warnings were given, states were not having that kind of effective emergency response system to relocate people from the affected areas to a safer zones, and they have to have a system to be built. Now with the Disaster Management Act in place, NDMA is in existence and the state disaster management authorities have established. There is something called National Disaster Response Force, State Disaster Response Force, and collectors have been advised to take different actions. Different levels of standard operation procedures are put in place, and everybody is working collectively in a structured manner to minimize the loss of life. That's how both skill development and value added services from IMD and associated with emergency response at the states has made it possible that loss of life got minimized appreciably.
So
not only that, even when Hudhud take place 2 years before, the much better emergency response system was there in government of Andhra Pradesh that has further reduced the loss of life. Globally also, when forecasting system improves, early warning system improves, emergency response system is put in place, loss of life can be achieved. This is what India has shown to the global world, that we are no less than anybody else as far as the knowledge inputs for hazard warning and services are concerned. We have proved both in Failin case and Hudhud case to the world.
That's how things have changed in since 1999 and also perception. But Dr. Ramesh, Prime Minister announced at the launch of the Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction recently that India will soon be launching a South Asia satellite, which will of course be helping all these South Asian nations in disaster mitigation, preparedness, even response and recovery, so for the entire change of disaster risk management. What role will the Indian Met Department be playing in this exercise?
Now, as you clearly said, we have achieved the target of minimizing the loss of life from the natural hazards. So next level we have to work is minimizing the loss of life, loss to the infrastructure and economic losses, socio-economic losses and loss to the infrastructure, loss to the economic activities taking place in the coastal areas, like ports are there and agriculture is there, power transmission networks are there, cell phone networks are there, communication networks are there, and so many other special economic zones are there, export processing zones are there. Lot of infrastructure is set up in the coast. Now next level is to make that infrastructure fully hazard resilient, so that multi-hazard resilient, so that any amount of high intensity impact natural hazards takes place in future, loss of infrastructure will be minimal. So we have to go to the next level of generating the impact forecasting apart from the intensity forecasting which we are doing for minimizing the loss of relocating the people. But infrastructure cannot be relocated, people can be relocated. So in the vulnerable areas already we have set up our economic related activities. We have to make sure we have to protect them. That means that is called risk management, disaster risk management.
Absolutely.
So to achieve that we need a high resolution topography maps, digital elevation models we call it. For spatial impact assessment tools are to be generated. For that we need a very high resolution satellite images. So you must have seen something called Google Earth. If you see the Google Earth, you can see the global terrain in a much higher resolution.
That's right.
But you cannot build an application over it. Now that kind of terrain information is required in a river basin level to quantify the floods, where exactly inundation will take place, river bank top overflowing where they will take place, and what are the areas likely to get inundated when the bank top overflowing leading to floods will happen. Similarly, in hilly areas like Uttarakhand, we had heavy rainfall associated with the flash flood has taken place. To visualize that particular scenario and generate a virtual reality scenario based on the modeling tools and the GIS tools, you need a high resolution topographic images. With the Prime Minister's announcement of SARC satellite will help those countries to generate very high resolution data to quantify the impacts of different multiple hazards.
Dr. Ramesh, we're running out of time. Just two quick questions at one go. One, concerns have been raised with regard to functioning of some of the newly installed weather stations, and concerns have been raised that they've been working below capacity and the personnel are not trained enough to do the repair work, and there are maintenance and upkeep issues. How do you respond to that? And second, what is it that we can look forward to in terms of initiatives of the IMD? We have seen now cars being launched, and we have seen a special agro med service for farmers already being launched. So what more can we expect?
See, the maintenance of observing systems is a continuous process. It was a new technology that was inducted into the IMD. Earlier we had only manual observations. Now unmanned observations in remote areas we have set up them, and people to whom we have handed over as custodians to these observing systems, they were not able to take care of the equipment. And at the same time, because of the remote conditions, service people were also not going in time. So that was a new experience for us also. Now we have learnt a lot of lessons how to maintain that automatic unmanned observing systems. In about 6 months to 8 months time, and that should be getting corrected, and we should have good system of sustaining the observing systems.
One or two initiatives that we can look forward to?
Initiatives are in terms of quality of services. Quality of services is agromet advisory services, as you have told. We are doing district level agro advisory services, but we are not differentiating between the rain-fed agriculture and the irrigated agriculture. Weather information for rain-fed agriculture is different from the irrigated agriculture. So that distinction in terms of the service, weather conditions for next 4 days, 5 days would be generated at district level for organizing the rain-fed agriculture activities in better manner in times to come.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for speaking to us on Candid Conversation. It was indeed a pleasure to have you on the show.
It was a pleasure talking to you also. Thank you.